You obviously have a great insight on international matters. Have you ever heard about a democracy in which the Prime Minister refuses to talk to critical press as you refuse to give interviews to Index, Népszava, 444 and others? You've just admitted it yourself now that these media outlets are representing a larger portion of Hungarian voters or readers. When are you planning to give interviews to these outlets? An interview is not supposed to be a bullfight with a journalist. The way I see it, I'm available to anyone if the interview serves the purpose of illuminating an issue from multiple angles. I'm not looking for interviews. I especially avoid interviews where it's obvious that an ill-meaning person is going to ask me questions filled with prejudice. Thank you, I don't want any of that. By now, your son-in-law István Tiborcs, your father Győző Orbán, your neighbor Lőrinc Mészáros, your former college roommate Lajos Simicska, and your climbing friend István Garancsi are all billionaires. Do you have any role in that, or are these just coincidences? I've seen this situation many times. You regularly want my opinion on matters of business. You have not succeeded thus far, and you will not succeed now. My conviction is that Hungary's all-time Prime Minister and its government should not deal with business matters. Politicians deal with politics, businessmen deal with business. 3 years ago, you rejected inquiries about the rapid increase in the wealth of businessmen close to the government by saying that there is nothing to talk about until there is not a single person close to Fidesz in the top 10 list of wealthiest Hungarians. Since then, the situation changed gravely. Lőrinc Mészáros, your childhood friend, former mayor of your hometown who dreamt up the Felsőt Football Academy with you, is now Hungary's richest person. How does the fact reflect on Hungary that businessmen close to your government got so rich so quickly? I just have one quarrel with you. There's just one thing I'm not willing to give you. I alone was the founder of the Puskás Academy. I'm not willing to share that glory with anyone. Considering the rest of your remarks, I've said dreamt up. Considering the rest of your remarks, I mostly tend to giggle when I see these lists. Everyone is aware of the realities in Hungary. People pay for two reasons: to be on these lists and to not be on these lists. You should regard them with that seriousness. Concerning the Hungarian public discourse and the Hungarian people, what are the benefits of your decision that exempted the newly assembled right-wing media conglomerate encompassing 476 titles from a competition authority and media authority procedures? If you add things up, that will not change the proportions. I live my life each day. Well, my perception of reality is that today in Hungary there is a left-wing, liberal, anti-government majority in the media. I regard that as a fact. I say that with no strong emotions. I don't have any anger. I'm not shaking my fist. It's this simple. As the sun goes up in the morning, I get up too, and each morning I see that I'll be fighting uphill battles that day as well. I'm not cussing over this, I'm just noting this circumstance that is, from my perspective, unfair, but ultimately inevitable, and I keep doing my job. You said you hear many anti-government, critical voices in your daily press briefings, and they seem to be the majority. Maybe these voices seem to be the majority because the critical outlets, or those who call themselves independent, they are relaying news from their individual perspectives. In the meantime, the pro-government media outlets seem to be saying the same thing in a more and more coordinated manner, despite there being 476 of them. For instance, all the regional newspapers publish the same interview with you on the same day. They publish the same things everywhere. They are all sending out the same pro-government messages, and maybe that is why you are confused about a left-wing media majority, because there are really distinct voices on the left. I'm not holding a grudge over this, because as I look over you, I've known you for a long time, I know the international press as well. We are at the turn of eras, I hope, and I know you're hoping we're not. There are such topics in the public discourse now that make the majority of European people, or at least the majority of the countries I know, including Hungary, obviously disagree with the values you represent and the policies that stem from those values. That is the situation. the power structures are about to change. I talked about migration transforming political power structures, but the same will happen to the power structures in media. That is its peculiarity. We're living through this together, and I didn't mean to attack you, I didn't mean to be critical, it's just that I wanted to let you know that there is a situation. Do not take us for fools, we understand this situation, we know the power structures, we are doing our jobs under those circumstances, that is all I wanted to say, and do not judge us, but we are looking forward to these changes in these power structures. What do you think about the level of corruption in Hungary? Do you think it's critical or acceptable? And does the government have an action plan in place? Let's clarify some things to begin with. I do not think corruption has an acceptable level. The only policy to pursue here is zero tolerance. Before 2010, the budget deficit went up, debt went up, public wealth decreased, and there was no economic growth. I think that was partly because a large part of the money was stolen. But what do we see after 2010? The deficit is going down, debt is going down, public wealth is increasing, there is growth, wages are increasing. It is impossible that this economic performance leaves room for significant corruption in Hungary. You've talked about the separation of politics and business on multiple occasions, and you said that you will not allow the government to be provoked into these matters. When you travel on the private jets of rich businessmen to your private programs, don't you ever think that you're compromising the government with these matters? Aren't such favors problematic? Look, I think I'm a sovereign person. I don't see any good examples, any examples worth noting where it would have been worth it for anyone from the business world to apply pressure on me. So you can be reassured. Hungary is a sovereign country, the Prime Minister is sovereign too, and I will be making decisions, and the government will be making decisions that are the most appropriate with regards to the public interest of Hungary. One more question. The situation as it stands in Hungary is that one political side is incessantly rambling on about Soros agents, and the other side's abbreviated motto gives you a rather expletive adjective, and everyone's writing that in the snow and painting it on billboards. Both sides are connected to you, as the motto was coined by your former political ally and college roommate Lajos Simicska after you two fell out back in 2015. Do you feel that you have any responsibility for the current lowbrow state of public discourse? I don't subscribe to this paternalist attitude. The people of Hungary are adults. Everyone is responsible for their own words and actions. They cannot pass this responsibility on to anybody else. Thank you, goodbye.